Ryanair's CEO just called Boeing a shambles and accused its bosses of running around like headless chickens. It's the loudest warning yet that Europe's biggest low-cost airline might finally dump Boeing and side with Airbus. The timing couldn't be worse. Boeing is already bleeding from delays and safety scandals. Now, the one customer that has kept their order book alive is threatening to walk. If that happens, it could be the end game in Boeing's survival fight. So, why is Ryanair threatening to leave Boeing? The explosive fallout, Michael O'Leary, is not the kind of CEO who bites his tongue. He runs Ryanair, Europe's largest low-cost airline, and he has built his reputation on blunt honesty, sharp criticism, and saying things that most industry leaders only whisper about. That's why his latest rant aimed at Boeing is something serious to talk about. In an investor call, he described Boeing's top brass as headless chickens who desperately need either a full reboot or, in his words, a boot in the backside. When the man controlling the biggest 737 fleet in Europe speaks like that, the aviation world knows that it's serious. The spark this time was the Alaska Airlines 737 MAX 9-door panel blowout that happened last year. It was an incident that shocked passengers and regulators alike. For Boeing, it was another PR disaster. For O'Leary, it was proof that the company has not fixed its deeper problems. Boeing tried to calm things down with leadership changes and corporate statements, but O'Leary wasn't fooled. He said what many already suspect, that Boeing's real issues are still festering under the surface. These issues include sloppy quality control, chaotic production lines, and missed deadlines. And this is not a sudden outburst. O'Leary has been frustrated for years. Go back to 2020, when Ryanair expected to receive 10 brand new 737 MAX 200 jets in time for summer. Instead, the planes never arrived. Boeing was still reeling from the fallout of 2 fatal MAX 8 crashes and the worldwide grounding that happened after that. Ryanair relies on a steady stream of new aircraft to fuel its ultra-tight schedules, and so this situation was a nightmare. O'Leary openly warned that delays could force job cuts and even base closures. That was the reality of an airline built entirely around high volume and fast growth. Things didn't get better. In 2022, O'Leary escalated his attacks. He accused Boeing management of caring more about shareholders than customers, calling their approach reactive, disorganized, and completely lacking in strategy. He even blamed their remote working culture for making a bad situation worse. By September of that year, he flatly declared he no longer believed Boeing's promises on delivery timelines. Imagine that. Your biggest customer publicly saying your word means nothing. Then in 2024, Ryanair engineers found out that there were tools left inside newly delivered aircraft, wrenches, equipment, and other items that had no business being inside a finished jet. Coming so soon after the Alaska Airlines blowout, the discovery reignited global doubts about Boeing's production standards. O'Leary seized the moment, blasting the company's operations as a shambles, and even using harsher words. He did it to drive the point home. The financial fallout soon became real. Ryanair's half-year profit plunged 18% to $1.95 billion. It was a drop O'Leary pinned directly on Boeing's failures to deliver planes on time. Forecasts had to be cut again and again, from 215 million passengers to 210 million, and finally down to 206 million. For an airline addicted to growth, that's devastating. After all this, O'Leary's tone has changed. He is not just shouting anymore. He is sounding like a man who is preparing to move on. Industry insiders are starting to wonder if his patience has finally snapped, and if Ryanair, after decades of loyalty, might be ready to start talking to Airbus. That possibility should terrify Boeing, because losing Ryanair wouldn't just mean losing another order, it would mean losing credibility in Europe and beyond. So, after all those fiery warnings from O'Leary, the big question is this: is he exaggerating, or is Boeing really falling apart? Is this the end of Boeing? The truth behind Boeing's failures. To answer that, you have to pull back the curtain and look at what's actually been happening inside Boeing's factories and boardrooms. And trust me, once you see the pattern, you will understand why Ryanair's CEO is practically losing his patience. Let's start with the biggest scandal of them all: the design of the 737 MAX itself. When Boeing introduced the MAX, it wanted airlines to believe it was just a smarter, cheaper upgrade of the classic 737. To make it fly like the old one, engineers added a software system called MCAS. but they made it rely on data from just one angle of attack sensor. If that sensor failed, the system would keep forcing the nose of the plane down, even if pilots were pulling the controls the other way. That single decision led directly to two disasters: Lion Air Flight 610 in 2018 and Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 in 2019. Hundreds of lives were lost. The fallout was that there was a worldwide grounding of the entire 737 MAX fleet. Around 400 planes already flying were parked overnight. Thousands more that airlines like Ryanair had on order were left in limbo. For Ryanair alone, more than 50 expected jets vanished from the schedule in one blow. This was the first sign of a deeper problem at Boeing, prioritizing speed and sales over engineering discipline. You would think that after such a tragedy, Boeing would overhaul its systems from top to bottom, but instead more cracks started showing. In 2021, nearly 100 Boeing MAX jets were pulled from service over electrical grounding defects. Not a design flaw this time, just sloppy production. Then came 2024, when an Alaska Airlines 737 MAX 9 had a mid-air blowout because 4 bolts were not reinstalled during repairs. Even worse, no one documented the removal, so there was no quality control check to catch it before the plane left the factory. That's not just a mistake, that's systemic chaos. And the horror stories didn't stop there. Ryanair's own engineers found wrenches left inside brand new jets. Other airlines reported missing seat handles. Each revelation chipped away at trust. If planes are leaving the factory with tools under the floorboards, what else could be slipping through? In aviation, one missed detail can lead to disaster. But Boeing's troubles don't all start in Seattle. A lot of the mess points back to its biggest supplier, Spirit Aerosystems. Spirit builds fuselages for the 737, and even there the problems are shocking. Investigators discovered misdrilled and elongated holes in critical bulkheads, the very structures that keep the cabin sealed under pressure. On inspection, 22 out of 47 fuselages had holes drilled too close to the window frame edges. Think about that. Nearly half of the fuselages checked could have been structurally compromised at altitude. Boeing had to rework 50 jets waiting for delivery, piling delay on delay. And these were not the only slip-ups. Spirit has also delivered fuselages with gaps, misaligned fittings, and fastener problems. Every single defect requires expensive inspections, engineering reviews, and rework. In 2023 alone, Boeing admitted it had to slash its delivery targets because of supplier issues. And when delivery schedules collapse, airlines like Ryanair pay the price. While passengers are lining up to fly, the planes they need are sitting unfinished in Wichita. By now, we can see clearly that this is not bad luck. It's a broken system. Boeing shifted years ago from being a company led by engineers to one obsessed with quarterly profits and stock buybacks. That shift gutted its safety culture. Instead of empowering engineers to stop the line when something looked wrong, workers and whistleblowers described being pressured to stay quiet and keep the planes moving. Multiple insiders told Congress in 2024 and 2025 that raising safety concerns got them sidelined or silenced. Some even testified that managers openly told them to prioritize speed over checks. The U.S. Senate's hearings revealed that Boeing is operating with a broken safety culture. Regulators, pilots, and even Boeing employees themselves admitted that documentation gaps, rushed schedules, and fear of speaking up let defects slide into production. When a company builds jets this way, delays are inevitable, accidents are possible, and trust is destroyed. Now put yourself in Ryanair's shoes. Europe's travel market is booming again. Passenger traffic jumped more than 7% in 2024 compared to the year before, and another 4% growth is forecast for 2025. Low-cost carriers like Ryanair should be cleaning up, flying full planes, expanding routes, and printing money. But instead, O'Leary is cutting forecasts. Instead of 215 million passengers, it's 210 million, then 206 million, only because Boeing cannot deliver planes on time. Every delay means fewer aircraft in the skies, fewer seats to sell, and lost revenue. Worse, it lets competitors scoop up demand while Ryanair sits on the ground. And that's why O'Leary's fury makes perfect sense. Investors are watching profits slip. Passengers are watching airlines struggle to keep up with demand, and Boeing, the once proud face of American aviation, is standing at the center of the storm. So, Is Ryanair's CEO exaggerating? Clearly no. When you line up the crashes, the defects, and the whistleblower testimonies, the answer becomes clear to you. Boeing's last chance. Michael O'Leary has been ranting for years, but the difference now is that his words come at a breaking point. This is no longer about a cranky CEO. This is about the survival of Boeing's most important relationship in Europe, and possibly the last lifeline holding together their grip on the single-aisle market outside of the United States. Look around the industry. Rivals are not waiting for Boeing to get its act together. Air France-KLM has already bet big on Airbus, ordering 100 A320neo jets to wipe away the last traces of the Boeing 737 from its fleet. EasyJet made its choice even earlier, committing to Airbus only, and last summer, they walked away with record profits while Boeing's customers were left juggling shortages. These are not minor shifts. They are proof that airlines no longer believe Boeing can deliver consistently, even with discounts thrown on the table. Ryanair stayed loyal through it all. While others signed deals with Airbus, O'Leary doubled down on the 737 MAX. But loyalty only works if it pays off, and right now it's costing him billions. Passenger forecasts have been slashed, profits have taken hits, and expansion plans have been delayed again and again. For a budget airline, time is money. And when jets don't arrive, the entire business model begins to crack. Boeing cannot afford to shrug this off. If O'Leary decides enough is enough, it won't just mean a canceled order. It will mean that Boeing's most visible European customer has walked away. That kind of headline writes itself, and it could easily scare other airlines into following the same path. Once a reputation is broken in aviation, it rarely gets repaired. The only path forward for Boeing is to start proving reliability again. That means getting planes delivered not next year, not in 3 years, but now. Empty promises will not work anymore. Ryanair has heard them for half a decade, and investors are just as tired of excuses as passengers are. Could Boeing try to calm the storm with compensation? Sure, but cash only goes so far. Ryanair wants aircraft in the air, not apology checks. A stronger move would be for Boeing to slash prices on future deliveries, locking in discounted contracts that give O'Leary leverage with his shareholders. Another step would be covering maintenance costs for a set period, absorbing some of the expenses Ryanair has shouldered during this crisis. Real actions, not just words, are the only way forward, and even that may not be enough. Airbus is circling, and they have the hardware to lure Ryanair away. The A320neo is more fuel efficient than the MAX, and the A321XLR can fly longer routes that Boeing doesn't currently match. For an airline built on high-volume, low-cost expansion, those options are incredibly tempting. Every delayed Boeing delivery makes Airbus look more attractive, and the gap is widening. If Boeing still believes Ryanair is bluffing, they are playing a dangerous game. O'Leary doesn't bluff when billions are at stake. His recent tone suggests the end of negotiations is near. Once he makes the decision to shift, the damage will be permanent. Europe's skies will turn even more Airbus blue, and Boeing will be left scrambling to hold on to what's left. This is the last chance for Boeing to prove it is still capable of being more than a fading giant. Do you think it will be able to do that? Share your opinion with us in the comments section below. And before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss the latest aviation updates. We will keep you in the loop. Goodbye for now.